Good morning. It's early Friday morning still. Uh, it's the day of Good Friday, the Friday just before Easter. It's a time I thought it might be good to look at the day, the original Friday, uh, and kind of make some sense out of why we call it Good Friday today. The early disciples, I'm sure, would have thought it just absolutely ridiculous. It was the most horrible day in their lives. It was the most horrible day for the life of Christ. It was just painted the realization picture of just how evil people can actually be in society in general, and anything but good. Anything. On this day, after following a night of celebrating the Passover with his disciples, uh, Jesus dropped a bombshell on them saying that one of them would betray him. Didn't understand that. I'm sure they all searched their heart and they all probably felt guilty because, they were human beings too. They didn't know if it was going to be an actual betrayal. They didn't know if it was just something that maybe they had said or thought or done or something that Jesus knew about that they didn't yet, about their past or even about their present. But they all felt somewhat startled by that. But they also were bold enough to say, everybody else may betray you, but I won't. Peter even went as far as saying, I'll even die for you if I have to, but I'll never betray you. Which we find out that his heart was in the right place, but his spirit really wasn't able to keep up with those lofty goals. But after being arrested in the garden that night, everything just fell apart. They followed from a distance, watching what was happening, and all this time that they were following from a distance, they had to be feeling just absolutely awful that they didn't do more to stop. The crowd was too big. The group that came to arrest him was too powerful. They had clubs, they had swords, they had spears, they had everything that they needed. And these were just fishermen, tax collectors, run of the mill, average citizens, that had just gotten to be a part of the entourage of Jesus Christ. And so they were not equipped to fight, and it was never meant for them to fight. But they followed from a distance and they watched as he was put on trial and how they made up lie after lie after lie, how they couldn't get their story straight. Finally, they got charges that they could hold against him, sentenced him to death, and the religious rulers had him humiliated. They had him blindfolded. They smacked him around, just making fun of him, tormenting him, treating him just absolutely awful. Then when morning came, they turned him over to Pilate, and Pilate questioned him, tried to figure out what was going on, but he couldn't find anything wrong. He knew that the hearts of the people that turned him over was bad, and it was not for anything that he had done. So he tried to release him, but they wouldn't hear of it. So he tries to turn him over to Herod, pass the buck again, see if Herod would do anything. Herod questioned him, didn't get anywhere, turned him back to Pilate. Pilate, at this point, was trying to please the people and keep them from causing a problem. So he had Jesus scourged, and by scourged, it's just the most terrible way of punishment that there actually ever was. The Romans knew how to do it to where they could inflict the most pain and the most suffering and just stop just before it caused death. And that's what happened with Christ. They had him beaten to where he was just a bloody mess. The cat of nine tails with the whip that had bone fragments in it, so that whenever wrapped around your body and they pulled it back, it tore the flesh with it. Afterwards, they clothed him with a robe and took a crown of thorns and beaten to his skull. And it's just it's just sickening to even think about what he went through. And so after that, thinking that that might appease the people, that it might appease those religious people who were so set on getting rid of Jesus, he offered him back up again. Even to the point where he took one of the worst criminals he had in his prison. He says, you know, every year I release one of you for the Day of Atonement. And so which would you rather me release? Jesus, who has done nothing wrong, or Barabbas? And of course the people picked Barabbas. And again, what do I do? So what do I do with Jesus? Well, crucify him. By this time, Jesus was so weak, so bloody, so beat up, so in just a terrible, terrible situation. It's unimaginable. And all this time, the disciples are sitting back thinking, you know, I should have done something. I should have done something. This is the guy I trusted in. This is the guy that I put my faith in. This is the guy I thought, and I even said I would follow to my death. And here I am standing back in the crowd hoping they don't see me, hoping that they don't tie me in with him and I end up being in the same position he is. Hope is gone. Our future is gone. What do we do now? And as they took Jesus to the cross, and so weak that he couldn't even carry the cross by himself, that he had to solicit help to get somebody to help him carry the cross. And they nailed him to that cross and put him up. And it's just one of the most devastating sights to behold for anyone who was there. Anything but good. And as he hung on that cross, they continued to make fun of him. They cast lots for his clothing. They tormented him as such. Even the two thieves that were beside him, one of them, even so much as you know, said, you know, if you're who you say you are, take yourself down off that cross and take us with you. I don't know what qualified him to be worthy of saving, because he knew he was guilty. The other man on the cross who knew he was guilty, but knew that Jesus wasn't, he just simply asked him, he says, would you remember me when you come into your kingdom? Don't know whether he had an experience with him before and fallen away, whether he heard about it while he was waiting for his own execution or what, but the words that Jesus spoke to him, to anybody, if there was anything good on Friday, it would have been to that second thief. Whenever Jesus told him, he says, this day you will be with me in paradise. And Jesus gave up the ghost. He gave up his spirit and died on that cross. And just to make sure that he was dead, because it was getting close to the Sabbath, they had to make sure and get him off the cross, because it was a Passover. And they came and they broke the legs of the tooth on either side. But Jesus, already being dead, they took the spear and stuck it in his side, which outpoured the blood in the water. At some point, the earth began to quake. The sky went dark for 3 hours. And the realization hit the people at that time that very possibly this really was the Son of God, that they had just murdered an innocent man. What is good about Good Friday? Well, if we just dropped the story right there, there would be nothing that was good about Friday. It would be called the worst day in human history. It painted the picture of how cruel and how evil we can actually be when we let ourselves go. But remember, Sunday's Easter. And I hope that you'll come to church on Sunday and find out what made Friday Good Friday. It's probably more than you think. And one of these days, you're going to experience, one way or another, what was so good about Good Friday. I know the pandemic has kept a lot of people out of church for a long time, and it's created within us habits of doing other things on the days that we typically went to church. But I encourage you to find out a church, to find a church and attend and be a part of it. Celebrate Easter in church. It's just not the same doing it at home. I know that some people don't have a choice, and I pray that the messages will reach them and that they will have a personal time. But if it's possible for you, I pray that you come celebrate Resurrection Sunday with your family of faith, and find out, just renew within you, reaffirm within you what makes Friday Good Friday. Our communion is open today. It'll be open until about 7 o'clock tonight for anybody who wants to private time of just coming in and partaking of communion and spend a little time in prayer here at the church. Pray that you have a blessed day. I pray that you have a really good Friday in every sense of the word. And may you be blessed. Hope to see you Sunday. God bless. Amen.